Well, tonight, Minority Fight proposed 24-hour Economy Secretariat, describing it as useless as Parliament moves forward with a bill sponsored by the government.
The 24-hour economy, one whole year down the road, they are here telling us we should create another bureaucracy, another institution. A 24-hour economy authority is totally unnecessary.
Well, we have details of the first pushback by the majority MPs who say the Secretariat is important in the government's effort to ensure a 24-hour economy.
It is a coordinating secretariat that will coordinate the activities of all the other sectors who, when they function and function properly.
We have more on this here on Top Story, brought to you always by Telecel, connecting energies, holy insecticide spray and coil. Enjoy a holy sleep, and also by Short Pension Trust into the future. With you, my name is Samuel Kojo. Brace. This is live on Joy 99.7 FM, Love 99.5 in Kumasi and in Cape Coast on ATL 100.5. This is Top Story, and tonight the minority in Parliament are fighting government's effort to set up a 24-hour Economy Secretariat to coordinate the implementation of the NDC's much talked about 24-hour economy program. The bill, which was presented by the Attorney General to actualize the NDC's flagship 2024 election campaign promise. During a debate on the floor ahead of passing a bill to set up a secretariat to coordinate the policy, Minority Spokesperson on the economy, Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, described the proposed secretariat as a completely unnecessary bureaucracy, which will not see to the actualization of the policy.
The view, respectfully, that a 24-hour economy authority is totally unnecessary for the purposes of delivering a 24-hour economy. And we say this with great respect. We don't mean this in a disrespectful way. Mr. Speaker, 6 of the biggest cities that operate 24-hour economies, New York, Tokyo, London, Bangkok, Dubai, Berlin, none of them started off with a 24-hour economy authority. In fact, it's only London that has a commission years after the fact to attempt to support the functioning of a 24-hour economy. What this bill does, contrary to what it advertises to the youth in this country, that the government promised a 24-hour economy and they've brought the law for the 24-hour economy. What this bill actually does is that it sets up a bureaucracy, an authority with a chief executive, an internal auditor, hundreds of staff, board. They're going to ask for a budget and spend. But with the greatest of respect, this authority does not deliver a 24-hour economy in any way. And so, Mr. Speaker, if anybody is under the illusion that what the government has done is to bring a bill that will give life to the 24-hour economy, we would like to serve notice, and notice is hereby served. This bill does not deliver a 24-hour economy. It only sets up an authority, a new bureaucracy, which will not deliver a 24-hour economy.
But the majority leader, Mahama Ayariga, pushed back, explaining the purpose and function of the Secretariat.
I think in the arguments of both sides of the House, we can at least agree on a number of things. The first is that our economy needs major transformation. That, I think, there is agreement. We are confronted with a crisis of unemployment, especially among our youth. That, I think, there's also some consensus. and that we must do something radical to give hope to the youth, to give hope to the population, and to enable the private sector to accomplish the hope that has been created. Mr. Speaker, the 24-hour economy and the authority that is being established to implement it is not the vehicle that will create a 24-hour economy. It is a coordinating secretariat that will coordinate the activities of all the other sectors who, when they function and function properly, would deliver a very productive sector and will deliver employment. That is the whole idea.
So that's the majority leader there. Parliamentary Affairs Correspondent Kwaku Asante joins with more details on this particular story. Kwaku, there was further argument against the establishment of the Secretariat by former Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Abu Jinapor. Tell us more about that.
So, Kojo, according to Samuel Abu Jinapor, and he was actually making further arguments of what Kojo Oppong Nkrumah had just said, that this was a very unnecessary bill that is just going to create more bureaucracy. He says, the NDC has been in office for a whole year. They have actually done nothing to actualize the 24-hour economy plan that is so much so to the people of Ghana, and that they are just putting this in place to find jobs for people like Guzi Tano, who is actually in Parliament today to shepherd the passage of this bill, and so many people. But it is not one that can create any value for the economy. In his words, this is jobs for the men.
The 24-hour economy, one whole year down the road, they are here telling us we should create another bureaucracy, another institution, another authority. Ghanaians are tired of institutions and tired of bureaucracies and tired of talk. The Ghanaian youth require action. They want jobs. And so, and now, they want action and jobs now. Mr. Speaker, this authority is just going to be job for the men. It's just going to be an authority where we'll have another CEO, 3 deputy CEOs, corporate affairs manager, this person, the people President Mahama has still not found jobs for, the men he hasn't found jobs for. He would then find jobs for them, buy a few land cruisers for them, give them salaries, give them allowances. This authority will not affect the suffering unemployed youth. It will not affect the unemployed youth in Bologatanga, to Keta, to Busumefreho, to across the length and breadth of our country. It will not. That's what I want to conclude by submitting. And I do so forcefully, that 11 months into the NDC administration, their flagship program of 24-hour economy, 133 formula, 3 shifts for the unemployed Ghanaian youth, 8 hourly different. The only job that is 24-hour today that has 3 people doing their job is the office of the Speaker of Parliament.
Why are you trying to speak for 24 hours?
Mr. Speaker, you should only your job, that is 133. It's the only job that is 133, the office, the job of Speaker of Parliament is the job where you have Right Honorable Abin Babin do 1 shift, and you yourself, Mr. Speaker, Right Honorable First Deputy Speaker, do the 2nd shift, and the 2nd Deputy Speaker does the 3rd shift. The only job in Ghana that is 133 is the job of the Speaker of Parliament. But no, that is not 24 hours, and that is not 8-hourly shift.
That's quite an interesting comment there by Abu Jinapor. But Kwaku, we understand the Finance Committee chairperson had a response to this particular matter on behalf of the majority side. What did he say?
Well, yes, Isaac Adongo came in quite forcefully. He says the opposition to the bill or the comments that this is unnecessary is simply because the minority have not taken their time to read the bill and the memorandum that came with it. Listen to him.
Because when we say 24-hour economy, 24-hour economy is not the same as agriculture. It is not the same as industry. It is a mainstreaming activity that you find almost in every sphere of life. So you find 24-hour economy in agriculture, you find it in industry, and you find it in services. As a result of that, you need to coordinate all those activities that you need to create the enabling environment for those agencies and institutions to be able to implement 24-hour economy. And that is what we are going to do. And you are beginning to shiver because somehow you thought that 24-hour economy was going to be your Ghana Beyond Aid that never had a policy. You thought that 24-hour economy was going to be like your free senior high school that never had a policy. You are trying to think that 24-hour economy was going to operate like your one district, one factory that never had a policy. Your digitalization that never had a policy. Today, we are walking the talk. Today, we are implementing a policy backed by a coordinating mechanism that will ensure that whatever we want to do is well thought out and implemented and funded. And that is where MPP will remain in opposition for the next 30 years because of 24-hour economy. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, it appears people did not even read the memorandum that came with the bill. If people had read the memorandum that came with the bill, they would have been clear what Cabinet and the government of Ghana wants to do with this authority. And it is not our fault that you don't read. The fact that you don't read is not our fault.
This is Top Story, always brought to you by Telecel, Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil, and Shield Pension Trust. Let's bring in Richard Achampon. He is Vice Chairperson for the, Committee on Economy, on Trade, actually, in Parliament. He's also the MP for Bia. I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining us here. Did I get your committee right?
You got it wrong.
Okay. What committee is it?
Finance Committee.
Okay, great.
Ranking member for Budget Committee.
Okay. Why do you say we need a secretariat to ensure that you implement the 24-hour economy policy?
Thank you very much for having me on your show. Let me say good evening to your cherished listeners. You see, our friends are trying to create an impression as if 24-hour economy is like a caricature or a standalone project where you can walk to it and then ask questions. The authority we are setting up is a coordinating authority. Because the 24-hour economy that we are talking about, many agencies, many institutions will implement the 24-hour economy. That's why the Secretariat speaks with the Office of the President. So we are setting up an authority to have an overview of all what the agencies are doing. Those who are ready to implement the 24-hour economy together with the private sector. So
how different will this be from the office of Mr. Gusitando?
The same office, the office sits with the office of the president. It doesn't sit with any other ministry. So he reports directly to the president. Because the president wants to have an overview. It was his campaign promise. So he wants to make sure it is implemented and implemented well. So we are creating an authority so that those that we have to give incentives, they will know an office to go.
Sorry, Mr. Champon, but your background is giving me some feedback. I don't know. Okay, let's try.
Well,
I think it's
colleague,
okay, I think it's better now.
In the chamber.
It's better now. It's better. Let's hear you.
Okay. So what we are saying is, if you don't have an authority and there's nobody there coordinating the activities of agencies doing the 24-hour economy program, if you want to give incentive, if you want to direct the activities, how do you do that? So within an authority, you put somebody there who will report to the president and have an overview of all what is happening. So at the end of the day, you can channel your resources and your energy through that mechanism.
I get you, but Mr. Gusitano has been working so far under the office of the president without, not as an authority, but they are delivering. So why the need to create an authority?
So that people will get to know this is the office, this is their address, this is what they are seeking to achieve. The bill will tell you their mandate, their source of funding, and so that there will be clarity. You can't use a word of mouth to implement a policy. You get it wrong.
So as it is, where Mr. Gusitando operates from the office of the president, is it the argument that people don't know where they are and what they do?
But how would you know their mandate? How would you know the parameters of which they are operating? You need to at least put in place a legislation to guide their activities. It's not like political do that to just appoint anybody without giving the person a guideline and what have you. Let's do things right.
Okay. Let me bring in the deputy ranking on the same committee as Mr. Achampon, Finance Committee, into this. But do stay with me, Mr. Achampon, I'm pleading. Well, let's bring in Dr. Stephen Amwa. He's deputy ranking on the Finance Committee. I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining us.
Your call has been put on hold.
Do I have you, Honorable Amwa?
This opportunity.
Great. Now, when it came to the 1D, 1F, the MPP had a secretariat for it, not so?
1D, 1F? I think so. But it wasn't an authority.
Is that the difference? Is that why you oppose it?
I don't think it was an authority. And I'm a little bit surprised where you're also taking it from. Because I think they want to have a new law, act, or a bill to deal with 24-hour economy. The policy framework itself has a lot of issues to deal with. And then duplication of already existing institutions that perform almost the same function. And You just mentioned rightly that we have Honorable Wisitando, who is also handling that at the office of the president or whatever it is. And now they want to have an authority. Surprisingly, it's like buying a plane without an airport. It looks like they're just rushing, putting things in place, not appraising its viability, sustainability, its effectiveness or efficiency, and whether we're going to really attain the very purpose for which we want to set this up. There are so many issues. So I think we need to deal with that first before we talk of whether one do one have an authority or not. In fact, the policy framework itself has a lot of issues to be actually reviewed.
What issues?
Hello?
What are these issues you speak about?
I think I started raising them. When you're talking about 24-hour economy, please go and check what it entails. It's economic policy framework that deals with business operations, manufacturing, public service, and co. When it comes to public service, we're already having that. Precisely when it comes to health sector, security agencies, they're already doing that. The NDC's emphasis was basically on manufacturing to make sure that we create our own business here by making sure that we expand the value chains, not dealing with raw materials and importing everything so we can create the needed jobs. They haven't done any research on that. They haven't collected any data on that. They haven't developed any value chain on that. They haven't, in fact, virtually they've done nothing about it. I'm not condemning the policy frame they want to raise. If you look at the Asian economy, you look at the European economy, the Latin American economy, go and check 24-hour economy they're talking about. One factory can even take about 1,000 to 5,000, and they run 3 shifts, 8 hours. That's what they do. I mean, they haven't put anything in place in terms of research, in terms of appraisal document to even jump us to where they want to jump us to and coming out with an authority or whatever. It's very interesting.
But they've mentioned that they've had a lot of engagement with business leaders who tell them the bottlenecks in the system that does not or do not allow them to operate a 24-hour system. And that's why they want to correct that by
So
instituting this policy.
I wish you could ask them for any policy document on that. You know, when we started teasing them in Parliament, when we started raising issues in Parliament, then they quickly brought a document. Go and read the document. It's the business as usual, making sure that we create a business environment. We've been doing this, whether NDCMP, we've been doing this for far too long. And we haven't had the needed sustainable resource. And that's why we're advising them that there should be a paradigm shift. At least for the first time, they should take their time, do proper research, earmark areas they want to do that. This is partnership with those who have the financial muscle. So we start getting into the second phase of our agricultural value chain. Then we know that when we are creating businesses, we can create businesses that can deal with the unemployment situation we have in our country. The import-driven economy we're talking about, the economy that is depending on other sovereignties or whatever. This is what the 24-hour economy in terms of manufacturing should handle. But you cannot just jump into it. You need to do a lot of research. You need to develop the value chains. You need to let us understand that this is the framework and it's feasible and it's going to work and help this country. The business as usual we've been doing as a country, and I must be frank, even MPP, some of our policies almost the same thing. Preceding policies such as this, we need to conduct the needed research, develop the requisite value chain so that we don't go in and spend money anyhow and we don't get the needed resource. And they are going to duplicate institutional functions and structures again, increase our expenditure to destroy our fiscal space. And we're not tired of always doing this to ourselves.
Okay. But hold on for me. Let me bring in Richard Achampo back here. Richard, don't they have a point when they say that we have the institutions already there? Just use them to implement this policy so that we don't add on to the bureaucracy that we have existing in this country.
The point is making, I don't get it, that it's not done any research, there's no data. It presented a policy document. So if there's no research done, no data, how can you develop the policy document? If you have time, get a copy of the policy document, read through, make a recommendation. As I speak, we are doing the amendments. If you have issues with the bill, come and suggest those amendments so that we'll take everything on board. So if you say there's no data, there's no research, how did we develop the policy document?
So what did the research you did reveal?
So if you get a copy of the policy document, you get to understand everything in there.
Well, not every Ghanaian who is listening to us will have advantage, and so they want to know, what did your research reveal?
It's a public document. Anybody at all can apply for it.
But you cannot tell us today? Hello, Mr. Champon. Are you there, Mr. Champon? Hello, Mr. Champon. Do I
need to run it through the policy document?
No, I'm asking. We want to educate the people so that he says there is no research. You say there is.
We can have a session at the studio so that I'll run the public through the policy document so that they get a better appreciation.
No, I just wanted to find out what was the main standard from this research that informed that this is what we have to do to solve the challenge.
And I'm saying, of mind.
Okay.
We need to get a document together. You run everybody through, because it's not like somebody sat somewhere and just put everything together.
Okay.
They've done the research.
Okay.
They have the data. They developed the paper. And the paper is available right now. If you come to Parliament, you can give you a copy to go through.
Okay. What about the statement that we already have government agencies that can help implement this without adding on cost? Why don't we look at that? But we still want to set up a separate authority with a secretariat.
I made the point that it's a coordinating agency. So DVLA is running 24-hour service. Passport office is running 24-hour service. Other institutions are doing that. Somebody must coordinate this.
Isn't Mr. Gusitano doing that?
How can DVLA have supervisory role over passport office?
Isn't Mr. Gusitano doing that currently?
Ministries.
No, I want to find out from you. Is Gusitano doing that currently as we speak?
Under what mandate?
He's a coordinator, not so.
They themselves requested for a policy document and the bill, the minority, and he's provided it, and they are shifting goalposts. Kojo Oppong Nkrumah was leading the charge.
Yeah, but they didn't call for you to create.
Policy document.
Yeah, they were looking for a policy document, but they didn't say create an authority. And I'm asking, Mr. Gusitano, as we speak, is coordinating in that office that he's working from. Why they need to create an authority, employ people there when you can still use the same system to run?
We need to give him a clear mandate.
Okay.
In the law, so that he will be covered.
Okay. All right. I hear. I'm grateful to you. Let me bring in Honorable Stephen Amwa. Dr. Amwa, so that's it. They say they'll still go ahead and do it, and that there's a policy document. If you have any recommendation, come to the committee hearing and make your suggestions known. Will you take that?
Yes, but even on your platform, now I think we all want a better Ghana. It doesn't have to be NDC MPP. Now we should stop unnecessary politicking and help our country. I think one thing I would tell them to do is to go back and embark on proper preceding research. They can even do that within about 3 months to 6 months. Look, our ecosystem is not good enough. We are very weak entrepreneurial ecosystem. And I had this experience from 1D, 1F. Do you know that even a lot of the people that we give them money to do 1D, 1F, it became a big issue because they could not go and find out. This is why we are advising them. Look, we MPP, we have learned our lessons. We don't want them to fail Ghanaians again. We can't do that. So one, they should go out there. All the manufacturing sectors they think will be of importance, they will go and research. For instance, if you say, okay, anything fruit juice will not import again, we should be able to have a document on the size of land we can grow specifically each of them. If it's mango, the soil content, the acres that we need to meet aggregate national demand, who we need on the chain. If we have to send a couple of people to maybe Australia to learn a scale, we have all of them. What can we do within 2 years to meet national demand or aggregate demand so we not import? We need to do all this. So it becomes like a vehicle. This is advice I'm giving them.
Okay.
They should stop doing all these things and take our advice.
I'm grateful to you. Dr. Stephen Amwa is the Deputy Ranking on the Finance Committee. Honorable Champon Richard is the Vice Chairperson on that particular committee. This has been Top Story. Thank you. Up next is Newsnight.